Hey, welcome everybody back to another lesson from High Flyer Sales School. This one today, what's the difference between an objection, a sales objection, and a condition? Now, is it that important, you may be wondering? Well, I'll tell you how I would sum this up. It's about as important as you asking yourself, do I want to be an expert salesperson and get there fast? Or do I just want to muddle along and make gradual progress? Every single elite level salespeople immediately spots the difference between a sales objection and a condition. Two completely different things. But if you look at anybody who's in a bit of a slump, if they're an entrepreneur or business owner and they're going to see clients, they're not making those deals, or if they're a salesperson, they're not selling their leads, this can quite often be one of the reasons why. So we'll break this down now between the difference between a sales objection and a sales condition. Two completely different things, and let's get into it straight away. So, let's continue. So, let's now have a look at why objections are completely different animals to conditions. Okay, so this is where the elite level salespeople really earn their money, the big money, and show their class. And a relative newcomer or someone who's a bit inexperienced, they're miles away until they learn to differentiate between these two very distinct different situations. So let's look at a couple of examples, real life examples where you may or may not encounter objections or indeed conditions. So let's take a scenario where we're with a customer, we're in their property or in their office, and we're going through our sales presentation with them, and they come out with one of these two things. So let's say they come out with, we are very interested, we do like what you see, but currently we're both unemployed, we're in between jobs, and we haven't got any savings. That's pretty much a dead end. I would stop there. Sure, previously, put it back in your pipeline, maybe somewhere down the road, they may come into some money, get better jobs, or whatever. But right now, at this moment, not only is it you are banging your head against a brick wall, it's actually pretty unethical now to carry on, isn't it? So that is a condition. Another example of a condition would be you're going through your sales pitch, and then one of them pipes up that they only jointly own the house with one of their parents, who owns a 50% share in the property. Quite common. Now again, that's a stop. That's a stop situation there, because you do not have one of the interested parties, decision makers, the primary one, present. So it's a stop. It's a complete roadblock and a stop and a pull away and reschedule maybe to have a meeting. They're conditions when you cannot possibly proceed with the presentation with any hope of getting an order or even getting close. There's no point. That is conditions. They are conditions, okay? Let's take the other side of the coin. So that's that. Now we move on to objections. Now objections are far more common. Objections are the difference, the way you handle them, are the difference between how much you get paid annually. Simple, whether you're an entrepreneur, a businessman, or a sales professional. How you tackle the objections that you are confronted with. And hey, every single sale has to overcome objections. But it's all about the style and how you do it. Okay, so if you want a little bit more information on that, I'll leave a link to our webinar. We've got a live webinar, or you can watch the recording of a previous webinar and have a little. There's a lot more information on there. I go into a lot more detail about what our online course, the Rookie to Elite Sales Skills Fast Track Program, covers. So if you're serious about progressing your knowledge and fast tracking your skills to get right up to elite level quickly, it may well be worth you having a little click on that link and watching a webinar, watching one of our live webinars, or even a recorded one. Anyway, back to the objections. So objections, what do they normally sound like? Well, if you're in sales or you've worked sales calls with potential buyers, you've heard them. There are things like, let's go through the obvious ones. Well, we always like to sleep on things. We never like being rushed into anything. We love to discuss it overnight, etc. What's the other one? We want to discuss our finances, always a popular one, but we just need to sit down, have a bit of time, talk things over. We never make decisions right away. We don't like being rushed. All those type of things. We want to get another quote. All of these things. Now, if you think about every single one of those objections, what do they have in common? Okay, we'll pretend you're sat in front of me now and you can answer. They're all timescale related. That's all they are. The customer is asking for a little bit of time. So why would they? Why would they ask for a little bit of time? Well, that's all to do with how we've all been programmed. When we were young and never bull rushes in, never buy things on the hoop. You always need to think things through thoroughly and all that. Well, that's a load of rubbish, and I'll prove it to you now with a scenario. I'll put yourself in this scenario. So imagine you're driving to work every day, and you've been driving the same route for 3 or 4 months, and on the journey into your office or your place of work, there's a beautiful car showroom, and your dream car is in that window. Every single day in the morning, you go through the traffic, you see it. It's looking at you. It's the right color, the right paint, the right wheels. It's the right engine model. It's absolutely your dream car, and it just so happens to be on your route into work every day. And guess what else? It's also on the other side when you're driving home in the evenings. There it is again, looking at you. You can't possibly buy that because it's out of your price range. It's out of your monthly range to even lease it or anything like that. So imagine this scenario, and this has happened, I can tell you that. So you go by this showroom, and then one day, one morning, you're driving into work as normal, and there's a huge sign that says retirement sale. Every single car we have left, 50% off the terms, including the lease terms. Now it's your dream car, it's the dream colour. It's got the dream leather seats, it's got the wheels you like, it's got the uprated engine, it's everything you want. And what is it also now? It's affordable, it's within your budget. You can now upgrade this car to your dream car without hardly costing you any more and very little of justification to your other half that you've done. Because it seems, doesn't it, perceived to be the absolute bargain of the century. But underneath the sign that says retirement sale, there's another little bit in reading, and it says first come, first served. And there's cars going into this car showroom now as we speak. You check your watch, you realise you've got 15 minutes, you're not going to be late. Now what do? Well, if you're in sales or you're an entrepreneur and a businessman and that scenario happens, you go in and you buy that car. That's what we do. That's what we all do. Why wouldn't you? It's your dream car. You're perceiving it now as half price, right? Who's to know whether that's accurate or not, but it is now affordable. It's everything you want, and it's right there, and it's almost like fate, and the angels have popped it up there to see it. So let's just think about that for a moment. So what is the difference between you or anyone else buying that car in that scenario and any other buyer making any other buying decision? Well, it's one word, the answer to that. And that word, you've heard me mention it a couple of times now, is perception. You are perceiving that car, it was your dream car anyway, but it ticks all your boxes of what you want. But most importantly, the one thing that's made you take action from going by, it's now within your budget, it's affordable, and it's perceived now to be an incredible bargain. The fact is, it's been in that showroom probably for at least 6 months because you've seen it there. So its value is actually plummeting anyway. But it doesn't matter because the desire is there, which is what your product presentation or your service presentation is always about, to build desire to solve a problem, okay? Or to fill a desire, both things, okay? So the other thing, it's now a perceived bargain. Well, it's not the perceived bargain that you particularly think it is it? Because it's actually been depreciating while it's been in that showroom. And that may well be why the business is no longer going to be stable, why they're having to sell their stock. But we don't think logically, we think with emotion. So does every other buyer. So when a buyer comes out with one of those standard objections, understand one little thought process has to go through your mind. Is this really a condition that I cannot possibly get over? There's no way I can progress this. Or is it just a customer using the self-defense mechanisms, which is what objections are, of trying to say, look, I don't want to be sold to. I don't want to be sold to. I want to buy, but I don't want to be sold to. Ask yourself that, and you will always find out the obvious answer. Buying decision is a buying decision, but we are all programmed to not to be sold to, because as kids and as we've grown up, we've been educated that only fools rush in and all that sort of thing. But you rush in when that bargain came up, didn't you? We all would. I certainly would. Okay, so this is what happens in our minds. We program ourselves not to do things, so we start to agree. And this goes back to a previous video I put up, which is about the objection parrot. The syndrome you can fall into when you're in a bit of a slump sales-wise, you start listening to objections and thinking they're real. They're not real. They're smoke screens. They're just to slow you down and say, look, I don't want to be sold to. I don't want to be sold to. That's what every customer says. That's what we all do when we go into a store and we're looking at shirts or something or shoes and the salesperson says, can I help you? No, I'm just looking. That's what we all do. It's just self-defense. We're not in there just looking. We didn't think, well, I must go and look at some shoes. We thought, I need to buy some shoes. So we went in to buy some shoes. It's exactly the same. So obviously recognize the difference between a condition is something which you cannot move past. You're wasting your time trying to sell to someone who's unemployed and has no savings. They might be the nicest people in the world and they might like the company. Certainly, I know that happens a lot. I've been in that situation a lot. Somebody just wants a chat. Well, that's not good business and good professionalism for you. Your time is money you need to be producing. So identify what you're actually hearing here. Make a decision. The very strong likelihood in all my 25 years of managing salespeople is that it's very, very likely, 95 times out of 100, it's an objection, but you can perceive it in two ways. But they are just objections. And most of them just relate back to timescales. Oh, we don't want to be rash. We always do this, we always do that. Listen, they are just objections. Here endeth the lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Please take on board what I've said because it will help you dramatically rise the ranks and improve your skills to elite level, which comes as a byproduct with elite salaries and elite commissions and elite profits for your business. Okay, we'll pop a link down to the live webinar and also an ebook download on the bottom of the link here. Feel free to watch either of those or download the ebook, and I'll see you in the next lesson.